everyone, Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about the December 4th, 2021 new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius. Now, this is a impromptu video. It's not going to be quite as detail oriented as analytical as previous ones, but I'm going to talk about this concisely. And anyway, new moon lunar eclipses in astrology, of course, basically, as far as the general meaning for those of you that may not know, it can be a time, a lot of, you could say, where many will feel very revitalized, have a very strong abundance and surfeit of energy, and more so than the typical new moon. New moon is introspective. Solar eclipse, this could be a time where one at least begins, a plan or formulating something new. And this is, a time to, being in Sagittarius. It's very, being Sagittarius of, it's a fortuitous sign. It's a lucky, fortunate sign of the zodiac. It could be where a lot of people, at this time are going to be at least planning, starting to do something, something new they may embark on with a lot of exuberance, enthusiasm, a lot of expansive energy. And solar eclipses, eclipses in general in astrology, of course, they could be very, life-altering, for many people. Could be very life-altering, monumental events could happen. I thought it was interesting when I had the lunar, when the lunar eclipse took place in November. I was like thinking, well, is anything even going to really happen with me? And on that day, or at least I believe it was on that day, somebody decided to do something that would be, beneficial for me with my astrology. Made some picture, or, did something where she had, made some kind of, it was like this photo of me, and it was, as far as promotional, I thought it was pretty cool. And it was a little bit of a surprise for me, and it happened on, the day of the lunar eclipse. And a lot of times, like when you have these eclipses, you might think, well, oh, it's just going to be another day, just like everything else, and something just out of the blue, spontaneously just occurs that you didn't really even anticipate or expect. And for a lot of people, this solar eclipse, it may manifest that way. And the thing is, with this eclipse, it's going to be, again, it could be a very rejuvenating, revitalizing period for many. It could be where many have a very strong abundance and surfeit of energy. And this, really, I see this as at least a fairly good eclipse, at least by sign. Having it, in Sagittarius, again, that lucky, fortuitous sign, and the sign of expanding horizons. And this can be, very positive, and a lot of it, how it goes, like in your chart, a lot of it can be predicated on the house it falls in and the aspects that it makes. The one thing about this new moon solar eclipse, okay, as far as Sabian symbols go, this falls at 12 degrees Sagittarius, and what's important is whatever you might do, those of you that may embark on something, a brand new project or endeavor that might really have, very powerful effect on you. Again, as far as Sabian symbols go, it's important to, not let, perhaps you could say, contemporaries or friends or people that are prominent in your life scheme, if they don't quite understand, comprehend what you're aspiring to do, what you want to do at this time, or they're not in agreement. I don't know if the word oblivious applies, but it's a time where you need to just do what you have to do, regardless of, the extraneous influences, criticism. It can be something, because in the long run, it may be something that could be very positive for you. It could be something you might ultimately, thrive and flourish in. And the thing is, I mean, Sagittarius is connected, of course, with adventure, sports, religion, philosophy. Specific sports are like darts, archery. Um, it can be a time, or it could be doing something with translation. If this falls in, say, the second, sixth, or 10th house, especially what I would say one of the money houses, one of the work houses in astrology, this could be the time of starting a new Sagittarius vocation. And the difference between this and new moon is that this could be something that could be much more protracted, prolonged, more sustained than the typical new moon. And the thing is too, I mean, as far as the house that this falls in, of course that's important because that could impact the delineation and interpretation. Now, mine is going to fall in the 7th house, and 7th house is relationships. Sagittarius is foreigners. I mean, for all I know, for me, it may manifest in the start of maybe a foreign relationship. I don't really see that happening, but stranger things can happen. Or again, this is very when these eclipses occur, a lot of this, I do believe a lot of this is very unpredictable. I told you about what happened to me on that lunar eclipse that we had in Taurus, and it was actually right near my first house cusp. If you use 5 degrees in terms of orbs, as far as conjunction orbs on eclipses, then it would have at least been very close to a conjunction to my first house cusp. So there's things where these things can really be very monumental. I would say especially for people that have in this particular eclipse being at 12 degrees Sagittarius, especially in general those that have a Sagittarius sun, moon, or ascendant. And the thing is, if it's actually making a conjunction to one Sagittarius sun, moon, or ascendant, it could be even more significant. Now I noticed too, this is going to fall in the United States first house. Now as far as, I believe it's in the first house in the Sagittarius rising chart for the United States. So this, and that's the house of new beginnings. So it makes it really reinforces for for America at this time collectively that many people may be looking at trying to aspire for something new in their life at this time. If people have been stuck some kind of something that's been monotonous or drudgery, or something that's caused I don't know if you want to say boredom, or something where you weren't making really any headway or progress, this is the time where many may do so. The first house also is the house of the physical body. You might find more Americans at this time wanting to be more involved. Could be in sports, could be exercise, being more physically fit. And the fact this is Sagittarius, the sign of expanding horizons. Now another thing too is that of course it's important to look at the aspects this makes to points in the chart, as that of course could impact the delineation and interpretation of the transit. Now as far as for you personally, now it's interesting, mine is the transit of this this solar eclipse in Sagittarius. What's interesting is that at least a loose inconjunct aspect is going to be made from this to my natal sun in Cancer. And of course, you have this energy very strong, and there's a very big disparity, of course, between the zodiac sign Cancer and Sagittarius. They're almost like night and day, because Cancer, of course, is very introverted. They're all about their safety and security. That's what the sun in Cancer wants. Remember that the sun is about what we want. And Sagittarius is about the outdoors. It's sports. It's expanding horizons, foreign travel. It's going outside the box. The zodiac sign Cancer, even though it's not a fixed sign, is really strong, I would say, about their comfort zone, what they want to cling to. especially matters related to home and family and what they feel is safe and secure. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, and the thing is, this is something where, again, looking at the disparity with Sagittarius and Capricorn, this is a time, for me, it could be very significant because it's a time perhaps of an adjustment where I need at this time to really focus on doing something where I'm going outside the box and I'm not staying, in a rut and just being where I'm comfortable at this time. And another thing too is it's going to make a fairly tight opposition to my moon in Gemini. So that's, of course, Sagittarius Gemini energy has a very strong disparity. They could be diametrically opposed in certain ways, but I mean, they are similar. The fact they're both mutable signs, changeable, adaptable. Both could be flighty. Gemini is mercurial. Sagittarius can be flighty. But the fact is that the difference is that Sagittarius, one of the disparities, of course, Sagittarius is about honing in on one thing, targeting one thing, one belief system. Gemini is about manifold beliefs, going in multiple directions, perhaps, doing a little bit of everything. Sagittarius is more about focusing on one belief. And really, Sagittarius, too, is also about speaking the veritable truth. And Gemini will sometimes say things that, just what people want to hear. And it could be where at this time it might be, it could be a little taxing, this transit for me, because it could be where I might have to start some beginning for myself where I begin to speak really more directly about things and not just say maybe what people want to hear, which is the Gemini energy. It can be the Sagittarius is more about higher education. Gemini is street sense, so you do have that strong that difference, that disparity between the two signs. And Gemini is also about going with more words, expressing, conveying things, articulating things with more words. It's more rambling. Sagittarius is more a little bit, it states things in a more concise manner. So it can be something where I might feel somewhat torn at this time when I have this have this energy, but at the same time I know that I won't be going away from really from what my natal placements are. I mean, those are there for your life. And the thing is, but another thing too is that looking at some of the other, I want to say that this transit of the solar eclipse in Sagittarius, it's going to conjoin Mercury. So it could be for many people, it could be a very auspicious time for embarking on something with writing that could really pay monumental dividends, since this is a solar eclipse. It could be something Sagittarius related. It could be writing something about sports or philosophy or religion, translation, foreign matters, publishing. It could be writing something about the law. Anything that could be that's Sagittarius related. And Sagittarius is the sign of publishing. So this can be something which would be very propitious for starting something. As far as writing goes, that would be meant at some point to ultimately be published. And Mercury also makes a loose, I would call a loose sextile to Jupiter, the planet of luck and fortune, in Aquarius. And Aquarius is the sign of the future. It's forward moving. and it's also ingenious. This could be very, very positive at this time for that. And you also have, at this time, I mean, of course, other transits can be amplified and intensified because they're taking place at the same time as the new moon solar eclipse. Now, Venus is going to be making a conjunction of Pluto in Capricorn at this time. Keep in mind that the new moon solar eclipse is could be about very prodigious new beginnings. You have Venus conjoin Pluto, and that could signify the ending. Pluto can be about obliteration, destruction, figurative deaths, the ending, the figurative death of a relationship for many. It could be being in Capricorn, one with an older person, one that was more mature, or one that had certain longevity. But it could have been something where Capricorn energy is very conventional, orthodox. It's something where it might have been something that was just very structured, very regimented, and many people might be leaving that connection. And at this time, and the fact that you're having the new moon solar eclipse is an indicator of starting something where you're expanding horizons and doing something with much positivity, much expansive energy. Sagittarius is the incorrigible optimist. This is, this can be a very good solar eclipse, I think, for many. And another thing, too, I notice is that the South Node, depending on what orbs people are using, is at least making, I would say, a loose conjunction to Mars in Scorpios. The South Node is in Sagittarius at this time. Will be at 0 degrees Sagittarius. The Mars in Mars is going to be appears to be 23 degrees Scorpio, and many people might be leaving from something acerbic. The South Node reflects what we're going away from. Mars is a planet that's connected with combat. It's volatile. Scorpio is jealous energy. It's manipulative, controlling. It could be going through some kind of, some people may be going away from an abusive connection, a volatile situation, maybe with somebody that was very jealous in an intimate relationship, somebody that was very obsessive, very controlling. It could be just going away from a quarrelsome, contentious situation in general at this time. In extreme cases, Scorpio energy can be about maniacal jealousy, and many may be going away from that kind of situation that's also violent at this time. And the thing too is, just one other thing I want to touch up on is that we're going to have, when this new moon solar eclipse takes place on December 4th, there's going to be the inconjunct. Speaking of inconjuncts, I talked about my sun in Cancer with this solar eclipse before in Sagittarius, that there's going to be an inconjunct as well as far as the electional transit of this goes. Sun in Sagittarius, and it's going to inconjunct Uranus and Taurus. So this is something where, Uranus can be, about our friends. Being in Taurus can be ones that, might have had, that were very persistent, stable, that you've had for some time, that were very loyal and steadfast. But the thing is, there's an inconjunct being made to the Sun in Sagittarius. And Sun in Sagittarius could be about moving forward again, as far as expanding horizons, I should say, going outside the box. Could be adventure, foreign travel, exploration. And this could be a time where you're talking about inconjunct is about an adjustment. It could be too much about the friendships, or it could be too much about wanting to expand the horizons and not thinking about about friendships. So that's something to look at as far as that transit goes. But anyway, the electional aspect, I should say. But anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.